Multiplayer campaigns were first introduced on Empire Total War after its release. Players were given a key by request to unlock multiplayer campaign in the game from CA and Sega while it was in beta, the campaign that is, for multiplayer. But sadly, it was a buggy mess, with not many players having much success with the feature. Most of the issues stem from the constant desyncs and crashes. You can find questions all over message boards like Reddit and Steam forums asking about what happened to it and why you can't get keys for it any longer. I decided to try it for myself to get a key from Sega, as I did miss out on it when they first issued it because I didn't even know about it. I was completely unaware of it at the time, so I emailed Sega support to ask for a key, and the response I received was straight to the point: no. So I just figured that was the end of it and chalked it up to yet another disappointment from Sega and Creative Assembly. The end. Or so I thought. Then one day out of nowhere, on an October day in 2023, I seen a message from someone I have known through Facebook Empire Total War group, basically asking if anyone wanted to test a multiplayer campaign mod that he has been working on and testing it. At first glance, seeing this, I thought it's a buggy mess and a desync nightmare, but the more he spoke on it, the more I had hope. Well, the day came and we tested it out on vanilla, and I got, I think, 2 turns in and we had problems. The game crashed on my intern. During the intern, I would lose Steam connection and the game would crash, so we stopped, and I figured it was just not to be for the vanilla. He had some success with mods at doing his testing at that point. A few weeks later, I found out that the problem was in fact me and my router. My router had been losing connection for a fraction of a second, and it would cause Steam connection drops. I resolved the router issue and have been doing multiplayer campaign with my son, and it has been a huge success. I know, I feel the same way for vanilla Empire Total War. And like I said, he's already tested out and has had a lot of success on several mods. So I want to give you the basic info. On this. And soon I will be coming out with a review on the mod in another video shortly. First thing, so you're probably all wondering, how the heck do I get this thing? I want to try it out myself. Well, I'm going to leave a link in the description for you to get to the Discord server where all the information you're going to need is going to be at. On the Discord server, you'll have plenty of help from people being able to answer questions for problems that you have with the install, help with the install itself. All this can be found on this Discord server, so I highly recommend checking that out and giving a look on that. It has all the great instructions, real easy peasy to do. Okay, so I do want to give some final thoughts to this, just to give you guys some insight. Like I said, I'll be coming out with a full review later, so I don't want to get too much into it. I just want to give you some summarized things, and I know I'm rambling on already, but let me break this down for you. Okay, so I had high expectations for this going into it, as much anticipated, much longed for and looked after, so expectations have a lot to play with how you're going to view the game, but hopefully this will help you out a little bit with tampering expectations a little bit. So first thing I want to talk about is time. Time is a big factor in this. It's going to take a lot of time to do this campaign, so you're going to have to set aside time and coordinate with another player that time as well, and that can be difficult for a lot of people. The next thing is finding the right player. If you play this with the player that is above your tier level or below your tier level, you're going to experience problems. The lower tier player is going to feel bored. They're going to be not engaged in the game, and they're going to probably leave you hanging on the campaign, and you're going to be without a second player. So it's important to find players that are at your tier level of your skill. I'll go into this in more detail on another video, but I think it's highly important to mention that. Okay, the next thing is about players as well. Finding players. Finding players is a little more difficult than I thought it would be to play the multiplayer campaign. A lot of my friends that I have from regular multiplayer, they don't really play much campaign. Well, I have some that do, but then of those that do, it's hard to find ones that want to do a campaign. So that is another problem. Now, the Discord server does give you the ability to hook up with players, but it doesn't really give you the opportunity to necessarily understand if they're in your tier group, meaning your skill level. So I think that's one thing that needs to be addressed and fixed. I also have Steam groups. I have 2 that I'm involved with, and you can find people that are possible participants there as well. But again, there's no way to basically put you in a tier group. So that's something that we need to do better as a community, is to maybe rate players so that you can be put in like a tier group, like A being the strongest, B, C, D, you know, so on and so forth, all the way to the lower tier level players who are basically new players that have almost no experience. And doing a tier system is also going to be a problem because you're going to have players that are going to feel hurt by the fact that they're being rated lower. So there's going to be hurt feelings. Working with multiplayer communities sometimes causes a lot of hurt feelings and drama and all these sort of things. But, you know, sadly, you know, people have to grow up and understand that, you know, just because you're put in a lower tier system doesn't mean you can't improve. I've seen a lot of players that were, I would rate all the way in the bottom tier level, and within 6 months are almost to the top tier level. So that's something you got to keep in mind. You got to start at the bottom sometimes and work your way up. And honestly, the tier level system is probably the only way that you'll be able to connect with players that are within your skill level. But this is something that we haven't yet created as a community, something that needs to be created, at least in my opinion. Now, I would also like to add that there is another possible way that you can find enjoyment from this type of campaign, and that would be almost like in a training type of basis where you have a friend that hasn't played the game, and it's a good way to basically teach them how to play as you're playing together in it. Now, I used to tell people to do the Road to Independence campaign for the American campaign, as I thought that was a good training tool as well. But I think that this multiplayer campaign can be a real useful tool in teaching somebody how to play the game, because there's a lot of different scenarios that you're going to meet as this, and you can do hands-on approach and teaching them not just the campaign stuff, but also mechanics of the battles and how to maneuver and do things like that. So I think this can be real helpful in that aspect. All right, now I'd like to take time to say big shout out to all of our channel members for all of their support. If you would like to become a channel member today, click that join button and get early access to content like this and exclusive content for members only. Be involved in the decision making of what comes out, and also, I appreciate you all. All right, now's the time to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, so you can become part of our subscriber base, and also give this video a click if you did find it useful. And I appreciate you guys as always. Like I said, I will have a full review coming of the campaign, multiplayer campaign mod, and also my multiplayer campaign that I've been doing with my son, I will be coming out with soon. So look forward to seeing that in the near future. We'll see you on the next one, guys.